Don't just look at your neighbor, your friend, your colleagues and say, that's the way I have to go. Your job is to find out what makes your heart beat. And really, for all of us, take the helm of your life for the first time. You get to do what you want to do.
Welcome back to Steadyhand's Coffee Break video series, where we share insights to help you navigate your financial and personal future with confidence. Today, I'm really pleased to be joined by Scott Armstrong, the author of Retire and Aspire. Now, Scott challenges the traditional view of retirement as simply the end of work. Instead, he reframes it as the beginning of a purpose-driven phase of life, an opportunity to live with meaning, passion, and impact. Scott calls retirement a winning lottery ticket that we all need to cash in. Scott, that sounds pretty good to me. And if you enjoy our conversation, I encourage you to stay to the end for a special offer. Well, let's get to it. Let's dive in. Scott, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, David, very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Your book, Retire and Aspire, which has been out for a little over a year now, really challenges the traditional idea of retirement as the end of something, where the focus is on stopping. But instead, you framed retirement as the start of something. Or said another way, it's the difference between retiring from something versus retiring to something. Now, I love this. So what inspired you to rethink retirement this way? And why is this distinction so important for people that are approaching their next chapter?
It's an interesting piece. About 10 years ago, I was working with the Canadian military, helping transitioning vets to civilian life after service, and saw them struggle as they lost their identity from their service work. And as humans, we're pretty good at have-tos. You know, we have to put a roof over our head. We have to put food in our mouths. We're not really good on, hey, what can I do? So when we're told what to do, we are really good order takers. And 100 years ago, when the average lifespan was 65 and you worked till you're 60, you had 5 years to sort of disconnect and smell the roses, if you will. Now the average lifespan is 85, getting upwards. Your clients can have 30 years of retirement there. That requires a little bit more attention than just let's see how it goes.
Now, I was really intrigued with this. Early in the book, you referenced research that was done by Becca Levy, and she authored the book, Breaking the Age Code, How Your Beliefs About Aging Determine How Long and How Well You Live. Can you give us a little bit of background on this research and its relevance to Retire and Aspire?
You know, if you're listening to this and you just remember this one thing, you're good for today. It's a meta study, 60 years in duration, started in 1960. Findings are that how you think about your next phase of life, your work optional life, which is what I call it, not retirement. I think we have to get rid of that word because it implies slowing down and disconnecting. Just your thoughts affect your lifespan hugely. For example, if you smoke or don't smoke, your average lifespan difference is 3 years. If you think positively about your retirement, your work optional life, versus if you view it as something that's small and contractive and to disconnect, the difference, 7.5 years. So that way you think about retirement is 2 times more impactful than whether you smoke or not. I think that's worthy of our attention.
Wow, that's extraordinary. Now, identity and purpose, it's for a lot of us, our identity is so closely wrapped up to our careers. So as you start to think about this, how do you help retirees, rebuild their sense of purpose and their own personal sense of identity in this next phase of life?
The great thing is it's a time of choice, and we're all not cut from the same cloth. Some people have careers that they absolutely love. I talk to a lot of medical professionals, pilots, lawyers, who love what they do and they never want to leave it. It's part of who they are. We have other people who are doing work for a paycheck and they really want to break away from that. So when you're finding purpose after your career is behind you, we come in at different scales. I've had several folks who are high functioning professionals who say, listening, gardening isn't going to do it for me. Pickleball is not going to do it for me. I need to be engaged. Where others are more content with some of the more traditional or cliched pastimes on this. So, if you're listening to this, your pathway is unique. Don't just look at your neighbor, your friend, your colleagues and say, that's the way I have to go. Your job is to find out what makes your heart beat. And really, for all of us, take the helm of your life for the first time. You get to do what you want to do.
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about your thoughts to prepare people to do that. But you've worked with professional athletes transitioning out of their high profile and demanding sports careers. Do you see parallels between their experiences and those of us who are retiring from more sort of traditional careers?
Specifically, yes, on two fronts. One is professional athletes, like most of us, are grossly unprepared for the opportunity that presents us once we leave our profession. You know, they're in their sport, they've been at the pinnacle, they've had media attention, they've had money, and all of a sudden, whoosh, it evaporates, and that leaves quite the chasm. The same can happen for us as well. And two is we need to learn to look at ourselves differently in retirement in the sense of we may be the hockey player, but what we're really good at too is leadership. And we have to take those skills that we actually learned in our career and apply them to things, in case of retirement, apply them to things that really matter for people. And for most of us, we haven't given that a lot of pre-thought. We've been so wrapped up in the moment so that when it does come, a lot of people go on what I call the honeymoon suite. They disconnect from work. They do the cruise around the world. They buy the RV, the vacation home, they garden, they downsize. And after that, they go, now what? And that's where most folks fall into what I call the retirement chasm.
Okay, earlier I mentioned that you thought that retirement was the lottery ticket that we need to cash in, but there is work to be done. So, how do you help people figure out the strategies that you've used with athletes to find new purpose and apply it to the broader population of us that are approaching retirement?
When we started working with athletes, most athletes never wanted to talk about life after sport. And so over the last 9 years, we've got them, as soon as they sign their first professional contract, we're getting them the education, the internship, so that when life changes for them, and it does for all athletes, they're prepared. The same should be looked at for us when we're going to retire ourselves, that don't wait until the day you've handed in your keys. You're 5 years out, even 10 years out. Start thinking about what might be those things that you've always wanted to try to do. Take a course, go on an adventure, disconnect from what life in terms of programming and keeps you busy every day. Disconnect from that and allow yourself to feel what you would like for the first time. I know that's a little ethereal, but that's really where a lot of the good stuff comes from.
Our role at Steadyhand is to help our clients prepare for the financial side of retirement. The work that you're doing with people is to help them prepare for the purpose centered and emotional side of retirement. Are there, like, when you work with people, what do you think are the biggest traps, mistakes that people fall into because they're not really intentionally planning for this next chapter?
I smile, and I shouldn't. I have people who can't wait to get out of their job. They've had it. They've done 30 years. It's been great, but it's done. And then I see them back at their work on a contract basis 6 months later because they were adrift. They had nothing else to do. The real piece here is to think about your life as the first time that you are at the captain. You're the captain of your own ship. You are at the helm. And to take the time to think about what really moves you. So, for example, I had a gentleman he was a CTO, chief technical officer for one of the large banks in Canada, retired and fell flat on his face. He said, I was so ready for retirement. And 6 months later, we went back and found out he loved music. He actually was the manager of Lee's Palace in Toronto way back in the 1980s. Now, he doesn't want to do that now, but what he does work for is the music festival that's in the Kawartha region, and does that on a part-time basis so that he's not exchanging one full-time gig for another one. He's not doing the exact same, but his passion was music, and he's found a way to live through that in his retirement phase or his work optional phase.
So you really encouraged him not to jump into something, big right away, but to sort of test drive some of these aspirations and ideas. Are there other examples that you could give people to give a bit of a sense of how to go about thinking about this?
Yeah. And I think what you said there, David, was exactly it. You don't need to find the purpose and jump into something huge. The British have a great term that I love. It's called codawample, and that's to meander in a meaningful way. And it means that if all you do is you take that first step forward and you don't know where the second step is, that's okay. Because we don't know what that first step going there is actually going to reveal to us, what we want to do. I had a gentleman who's a lawyer, enjoyed a great career. And again, retirement chasm, did the honeymoon suite. And he's a funny guy. And we talked about that. I said, have you ever tried improv comedy? And now he's part in his second year of an improv comedy troupe where not only has he enjoyed the comedy, but the social structures that often disappear when you leave your work environment, he's found a replacement group in that improv comedy world. So like I said, there is no blueprint. It's to take that first step and then go, okay, now what do I see going forward? And not to be afraid of traditional failure. Just go out and have some fun, learn. Learning is okay. It's the journey. It's not the destination. And then other things will reveal itself along the way. I'll tell you, I'm retired. I'm here working with you retired. I don't have to do this. I love to do it. This is my coddlewomple finding.
Well, as people are out coddlewompling, you do in your book emphasize the importance of building strong social connections. Why is community so vital to fulfilling a retirement experience?
For the analytics who are listening here now, the data will just show that if you have strong social networks, that your lifespan does extend out. And I think the term that's bantered around is 3 years. Us guys, we're worse at it. We're the ones that lone wolf it, find ourselves in a workshop and on the golf course by ourselves. When you have a purpose that extends beyond yourself, that you're needed by other people, you are connected to other people. From a physiological perspective, it tells our subconscious brain that we're still required. And for some miraculous reason, we do better. We get less health requirements because we're socially connected. Isolation, I think the latest data showed that 1/3 of all Canadians over the age of 65 report loneliness. Isolation to the point that it impedes their daily lives. So I thank you for bringing that up, because that's something that's huge for a lot of folks who are about to retire.
Well, on the one hand, we've got the importance of building social connections, but on the other hand, we've got this thing called the iPhone or the phone. And you're recommending in your book that people unplug from technology intentionally. Why do you recommend that?
Again, the idea is society being busy is not hard these days, because you can just look at your phone and your mind will go down the rabbit hole of flicking TikTok videos or Facebook feeds or whatever your poison is. When you do that, then you never really have to think for yourself. And I was asked, I'm speaking at RCMP conference next week for the retiring officers there. And they asked, what was my favorite vacation? I said, my favorite vacation was with my family and my wife in northern BC, because we were off grid. And it's amazing the conversations happen. You have the phone in your hand. I'm guilty of it as anybody. The dopamine ping when we pick up technology. But once it's gone and out of sight, your brain actually releases from looking for it. And that's where a lot of the really good stuff happens up. So by disconnecting, you actually think for yourself rather than have your technology do the thinking for you.
Scott, as we sort of start to wrap up here, if you could leave people with just one takeaway from the work that you've done and your writing about designing a meaningful retirement, what would that one takeaway be?
It's to rethink of what the next phase of your life can be. If you take a look at most media, you're going to see people on sailboats, on golf courses, on wine tours, the cliched events. Your second phase of life, your next act, is the biggest act of your life. You've got more resources. Hopefully your health is still pretty good. You've got time freedom to do whatever you want to do. Please don't think of it as a time to slow down and get smaller. This is the time for the biggest adventures of your life. Whatever those are for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know a lot of your writing is informed by the work that you've been doing with the Mindswitch Academy. Can you just close out with a bit of background on what the Academy is all about?
The Academy is, what are we now? 8 years of data where we collect, we connect with people who have transitioned. So we now have people who are 8-10 years into their work optional life. We have folks as young as 40 who are interested in these kinds of things. So we conduct various surveys. We do mastermind groups to find out what are some of the biggest obstacles for these folks and the things that they're looking forward to when they do approach retirement. And it's pretty cutting edge data, because a lot of the data, if you go traditional environments like the Employment Benefits Research Institute, the soft skills and statistics are fairly weak. There, we talk about longevity and we talk about money and those types of things, but finding purpose, those types of things are usually the things that we like to sort of dive into and find out what people are actually doing. I mean, this is the cutting edge stuff that 2 years from now, 3 years from now will be commonplace. I think there's a rather famous TV anchorman from Canada, Peter Mansbridge, who's now out promoting what life can be in retirement. So your soft skills for your next phase of life are now hitting main stage. It's a good thing for everybody.
And people can find out more at mindswitch.com.
.ca. We are Canadian.
Okay, awesome. Well, Scott, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your passion with us today. It's clear that financial security is essential, but as you've shown aspirational security, strong relationships, a purposeful sense of meaning, and staying meaningfully engaged is frankly just as important, if not more so. Now, for those watching, if you want to dig in deeper into building a retirement that you can truly aspire to, we're giving away a free copy of Scott's book, Retire and Aspire, to the first 20 people who either email us at info@steadyhand.com or leave a comment on this video. Thanks again for joining us today, and until the next time, stay steady.